Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing the concept of when did sort of these, quite frankly, I think it's getting to the point where you can only call them needless restrictions become sort of equated with natural. And the reason for this video, I was reading a recent article in ASEAN Now, that's ASEANnow.com. Article is titled, "Are we just going to have to live with unvaccinated people across Thailand?" And first of all, let me just answer the headline question. Yeah, you are. I mean, that's the way the world works. People make their own decisions about their own personal health choices, especially in a situation where whatever protocol you're dictating does not have any evidence of mitigating transmission. So, yeah, the answer to that is yes. Quoting further, with the world trying to cope with this unique pandemic, should we risk letting people like Novak Djokovic, sorry, I'm mispronouncing that probably, continue to stick to his principles of not being vaccinated while still wishing to roam free? I really am just shocked by the language of some of this stuff where it's, well, should we just allow this guy to be free and make choices on his own? How can we, what are we going to do with this? And again, there's serious evidence out there now, and I don't want to get too deep into this part because it's not the bailiwick of what we like talking about on here. I like doing things on legality and what's going on in Thailand and just basic notions of travel, which again was, wishing to roam free was why I started thinking of this. But, again, it's my understanding that this doesn't, the solution, if you will, yes, it mitigates people's symptoms, how they react to the disease. But it's my understanding, and I've tried to read as much as I can on this, transmission, it doesn't really have any impact on that, or at least no appreciable impact that we're able to see, especially under current circumstances with this latest Greek letter that's just, cutting through everybody. It's to the point where health officials here in Thailand are getting ready to call this thing endemic and just move on with our lives. So, one, I disagree with the entire premise of the question, which is, oh, should we let people make their own health decisions and just roam around? I mean, yeah, we should. That's obvious. Secondly, I disagree with the entire chain of logic because it presupposes something that's not the case. Whatever this person decides to do doesn't actually impact anybody else. So what are we talking about? Quoting further, naturally, society may be able to accept their position. However, it will be a lot more expensive for some time for unvaccinated people to move around, check into hotels, or board a plane. Why? Because you say so? Why is that? I don't understand why that's the case. Again, where it doesn't have any impact on others, why would anything change? And even if it did, let me be clear, I would still have issues with this. And people have talked to me and they think I'm like anti-vax or pro this or that or whatever. I'm not. What I'm anti is mandates, where the state unilaterally, arbitrarily, and capriciously just mandates things. I'd have an issue with this if it was everybody was required to wear a tuxedo to dinner on Fridays. I would have an issue with this if it was required that everybody wear Crocs on Tuesdays. Just any mandate I'm going to have an issue with. Now, yeah, there are mandates in our society. You can't kill people with impunity. And we've all agreed on those. Those are sort of the social compact. This ain't part of that. We've never had these kind of restrictions in the past. And there has to be substantial viable reason, in my opinion, to impose something as, quite frankly, draconian as some of this has been. And has that justification been present? I think there's a strong argument that it hasn't to date, but the notion that it needs to continue while the underlying threat is abating, that to me is just pretty nonsensical. Quoting further, it will be up to immigration at airports, hotels, or airlines policies if they can stay or fly. So there's a group of people that will forever be at the whim of bureaucracy, large corporations, and, travel businesses? Really? That's the world we want to live in? Quoting further, it's a difficult dilemma. No, it isn't. No, it's not a difficult dilemma. Quoting further, what do you think is the correct route to take? I think the correct route to take is let's get on back to what we were doing Q1 of 2020. Thailand was doing just fine back then. I think if we could do it all over again, knowing what we know now, we would have made seriously different decisions, substantially different decisions. We're looking at a situation where our economy here in Thailand, a country I love, by the way, people think I'm somehow critical of Thailand. I'm not. I'm a real supporter of Thailand. I am Thai. Love this place. It's why I get so upset and passionate about this. I didn't like talking about this stuff and really didn't do it until about April of 21 when the front page of the Bangkok Post said Thais needed to be treated like children. And that's kind of where I kind of lost it with all of this kind of, for lack of a better term, sort of smug, condescending, imposed precepts on people. Can we just let this person roam free? Yeah, we can. We're going to be all right. And it's going to be more expensive for a certain subset of people to move around, check into hotels or board a plane. Why? Because you say so? Because again, I don't agree with the fundamental premise, but I'll set that aside for a minute. Take it from another angle. If you could prove that transmissibility was mitigated at the very least, if not stopped by this, then okay, at least you'd have a logical argument underlying why you would mandate something on people and impose restrictions on their own personal bodily integrity as well as their own personal medical choices. At least you'd have an argument. But where that doesn't exist, coupled with the fact that people, notwithstanding really, at the end of the day, there's a give and a take to the social compact. Yes, the greater good needs to be considered, but the individual good needs to be considered as well. What is it? One of my favorite movies is Oscar Schindler's List. The part at the end where they give him the ring and they say, anyone who saves one person saves the world entire. I always think of that because it's a really profound concept. And what it does is it both encapsulates both notions of the importance of the individual and the importance of the group simultaneously. Now, we have worried for a long time about the group, and I think we've probably overly worried about that. But okay, we've gotten through it, and now we see the threat to the quote-unquote group is abating. It's time to worry about that one life as well as the world entire.